David, how many times do I have to tell you this is what we do here at Is This Enough?
Is This Enough? With James O'Donoghue and David Hoare.
If you can believe it, it's Thursday, and welcome to Is This Enough, and to a very special Twin Peaks themed episode. My name is James O'Donoghue from the Black Lodge, and with me as always is David Hoare from One-Eyed Jacks, the mysterious titty bear.
Oh no! Oh no! No!
This is the truly excellent and brilliant game show that is both excellent and brilliant. We've come up with 3 rounds each, and neither of us knows what the other one has prepared. There is, of course, all to play for because there is a prize for the winner and a forfeit for the loser. Our guest judge this week, of course, is the first Prime Minister, Robert Walpole.
Shocking down the walls of Jericho, word whispered in the wind, and it said, Robert fucking Walpole. Robert fucking Walpole. Yeah.
Hello, boys.
Hi, Robert.
Well, Westminster Palace is all abuzz with news of the much-delayed inquiry into the murder of Laura Palmer. And would you believe, attempts to find the answers have been quashed, but once more, partly from the meddling from one Thomas Robinson acting in contempt of court with those shoes, but also from Bob Iger pressuring the preferred outcome from the network. Well, the prizes last week. James won and received a bosom for a pillow. How scrumptious. Whereas David received a bosom for a profile picture. Good luck on Tinder with that. David, how did you find your engagements online?
They were great.
A liar. This week, the winner gets the donut, the loser gets the hole. Both sound delicious, boy. Wow, what a menace. David, we're of course recording this with the recent news of the death of David Lynch, but death does not distract us from our 3 main goals for this quiz.
Keep it light, keep it tight, please don't fuck my wife. Keep it light, keep it tight, please don't fuck my wife.
And with the solemn vow that no wives shall be fucked, we move on for you, David, for round 1.
Round 1.
Hello, James. We're recording this on Monday, January 20th. So the passing of David Lynch is still quite recent. We are big fans of David Lynch, so we've decided to do a Twin Peaks themed episode because we both love Twin Peaks. James, round 1 is of course called General No Lodge. In preparing for this quiz, I used the element of fear to enter the Black Lodge.
Good.
I watched the stage recording of Cats the Musical, which is
my fuck.
scariest thing that you can ever witness, and then I just moseyed on in. And I went into the Black Lodge. I met the waiter, I met the fireman, I shook hands with the arm, and then I returned with a bunch of quiz questions for you from the Black Lodge. So, James, I've got some general knowledge, no lodge, questions from the Black Lodge for you.
Okay.
About Twin Peaks.
Good.
You're a big fan of Twin Peaks. You've been a fan of Twin Peaks longer than I have, I believe.
I don't know about that. I got into it the summer of 2013.
1 year before me. 2014. I basically got
Yes.
into it when it was announced that the third season was coming out, and a bunch of people I knew who had similar tastes and things to me were suddenly going mental about Twin Peaks, and it was just something I'd heard of but never really experienced. We'll get into that later. Question number 1, James.
Oh, the first outer we see in Twin Peaks.
First character we see in Twin Peaks.
Oh, this is for 1,923 points a question, because a Black Lodge of Evil Musicians figured in Moonchild, a 1923 novel by the notorious occultist Aleister Crowley.
My. I didn't realize he wrote books. It is, I forget the character's name, Jacques Plance's character. There's a fish in the percolator. What is his name?
What is his name?
Jack Nance? No, that's not the. What? Jack Buddy Nance? Tell you that for free.
Who is his wife, and what name does she yell all the time?
What names get yelled in Twin Peaks? Cooper, Laura, Gordon. Oh no, he got blown the fuck up at the end.
Spoilers. Oh, by the way, this is going to
Spoilers.
be riddled with spoilers. So if you're watching this, like, I know a little bit about Twin Peaks, but you don't know loads about Twin Peaks. This is not only going to be riddled with spoilers. We're going to have theories. We're going to have
as much as
ideas that are
anyone
gonna
can
freak you out.
spoil. As much as anyone can spoil anything about this, you could find out word for word what happens before you start watching, and you'll have no idea what's happening. It's Twin Peaks. It's Twin Peaks.
But that it might not spoil the what's going on, but the enjoyment. Anyway, what is the name of the first character we see?
This is killing me.
Yeah.
Fishy Perk.
Fishy Percolator Man. Is that what you're going with?
Fishy Perk.
Great. No, the correct answer is Josie. You see her in the mirror before you see Pete.
Oh.
So no points for you there. But don't worry. There's more questions from the lodge. Question number 2.
How many yummies does I in all 3 seasons of Twin Peaks?
That got away from me a little bit.
Did it? Sorry. Let me just dung 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 dung.
How many yummies does I in all 3 seasons of Twin Peaks?
How many times does Pi appear in all 3 seasons of Twin Peaks? I'll give you
so there are
five ways either way. I'll give you 5, like, within a barrier of 10.
There are 48 episodes. I'm going to say 30.
30?
Yes.
For all 3 seasons of Twin Peaks, you think that Pi appears 30 times?
Yes.
Well, you were a third wrong. It was 90 times.
Oh my god!
Turns out that Twin Peaks, when people are like, isn't that a really grim and scary show? I'm like, it's mostly about
Pie.
coffee and pie.
Mostly about pie.
It's mostly about how much you like coffee and pie. Okay. Well, I thought you knew quite a lot about Twin Peaks, but apparently you're
absolutely
lacking.
fucking this.
Okay, well, let's see if you can get question number 3 from the Black Lodge.
Why is Rogue Lady she is a lot of the size of a boo?
So that's why is Log Lady called Log Lady? A, the size of her, if she carries a log, or B, the size of her poo. David!
Not me, it's from the Black Lodge. It's a very evil place.
Whoopsie.
It's a very evil place.
They're rude in there. Too much Garmin Bozia. I think it's because she carries a log.
Oh no, James. That's just a coincidence.
She was called it because of a poo. She's like, I'm carrying a log. That's why. It's a cover.
She just starts carrying a log, and then new people to town are like, I assume it's because of the log.
Mm.
Awful about that. Question number 4. Let's see if we can make this worse.
Why is the main called the main? A is called the main, or B the size of his cock.
Why is Dick Tremaine called Dick Tremaine? Is it A, because he's called Dick Tremaine, or B, the size of his cock?
These are naughty, naughty elements in the Black Lodge. Mr. Crowley, how dare you? What goes on in your head?
What goes on in that lodge?
Mr. Crowley, what goes on in that lodge? Are you having fun? I think it's because of the size of his cock.
That's 1,923 points to you
Yes.
there, James. Tell you what, saying the word Tremaine backwards comes out very clear. The rest of it, not so much. But the first time I tried Tremaine, came out perfectly.
I'm glad that you
Like
went
a
for the
lady's log.
You went for the backwards talking. I'm glad because I considered it and then I ran out of time.
We were supposed
so-
to record 2 episodes today, but I don't have a second episode prepared.
One of us put a lot of effort into one episode. The other one put a lot of effort into the other episode. The two are not the same episode. Be prepared for a very lopsided listening experience.
Well, with that lopsidedness floating in our ears, it's over to you, James, for round 2.
Round 2.
Oh no, David. Round 2 is called This Is Just Twin Peaks again, isn't it? As we know, David Lynch let us fly our freak flags. I'm going to try that again because that
He
wasn't
let
right.
out a what? What did he let out?
He let out a big poo. That's why they
Mm.
called him the Log Lady.
He drank a
as-
lot of coffee.
Really did. He had coffee, 2 cookies, can of Coke,
Mhm.
pie, and never a fucking salad. David, as we know, David Lynch let us fly our freak flags, and as such, he unleashed a new world of weird into the culture scene in the 1990s, which helped shape the future of television, movies, and video games. But were these pieces of art inspired by Twin Peaks? By inspired by, I mean they just are Twin Peaks again, aren't they? Some of this is homage, and some of this is fromage, as in cheesy. These are all worth 48 points because, as established, there are 48 episodes of Twin Peaks.
Mm.
Excuse me.
Now who's had a Coke and 2 cookies?
This is incredible. David, is Alan Wake based on Twin Peaks?
1,000% yes.
More like Alan Woke. Yes, David, it is indeed based on Twin Peaks. David-
You've just finished playing it, right?
Yes. I
Okay.
just had the experience of finished playing it, really enjoyed it, and thought, oh, Alan Wake 2 is out. It came out a few years ago. That'll be cheap. It's January. There'll be sales. I'll just look how much that is. Oh no.
It's also
It's not very
January
expensive.
isn't sales time for video games, by the way. I need to teach you when sales times are for video games. It's not January.
Well, I'll be a monkey's uncle.
At the end of a film, which makes no sense.
Yes. I'll be a monkey being interviewed by David Lynch's uncle. He made that film for Netflix called What Jack Did, which is him shouting at a monkey. It's great. It's really good. There was an obituary from, I think, the Hollywood Reporter that was so needlessly shitty It was like
Sure.
He failed to wow with his latest season of Twin Peaks. It's like, depends what you wanted from it.
We'll get onto it, but my favorite thing about David Lynch is that he made stuff that people loved, and the same stuff is also stuff that people fucking hate.
Yeah, and it's the same people.
Twin Peaks season 3 may be my favorite series of television ever.
Mm.
So well done, Hollywood Reporter. You reported badly.
Report on these nuts. Silent Hill 2. Is that Twin Peaks?
So I just played Silent Hill 2. The new version came out, but I have the old version, which I'd never finished, so I played that on the PlayStation 2.
I
would played.
I like the new version. They got Martin Jarvis from BBC Radio 4 to voice the protagonist. You're not my Mary. That's not true. That's a joke.
Okay. I got very confused.
For some reason, I've had Martin Jarvis on the mind recently.
Happens.
With those
Which sci-fi film has Jarvis as the?
That's
computer?
Iron Man.
Yes.
Yes,
With Martin Jarvis talking.
I'm sorry, sir. Looks like you're going to have to fly very far.
We don't know any Marvel quotes. Well, actually, you do. I don't.
Yes, it is, of course, inevitable. David.
Well, there's lots of scenes that look quite similar between Twin Peaks and Silent Hill 2. I don't know if it's the same thing. Yeah, let's go with yes.
Yes, it is indeed, which is why Cooper can only walk forwards, backwards, sideways at a time. He has to stop to turn.
And every time he walks past something that's of note, his head won't look anywhere else. So he's like,
Carl McLaughlin really just looked quite that low poly.
that is why he stares directly into those llamas' eyes.
They're an objective.
Yeah. You need the llama's eyes to continue, which I guess he did.
He's
Whenever I pitch Twin Peaks to someone who's never seen it before, especially if they're like, isn't it dark and weird? I'm like, I just show them the scene of the llama walking through and then looking Carl McLaughlin dead in the eyes. And they always go, cool.
Yeah. I show them episode 8 of The Return. The 9-inch nails! David, is Riverdale based on Twin Peaks?
Riverdance?
Riverdale.
Michael Flatley and Riverdance. Riverdale?
That's me rewriting the next joke there, dickhead. Well done.
Oh no! Sorry. I don't even know what Riverdale is.
Riverdale, it came out on...
Rivendell is in Lord of the Rings, right?
Yeah, it's not Rivendale.
What's Riverdale?
Riverdale was an edgy reboot of, you know, the American comic book Archie?
Yeah.
It was like an edgy reboot of that Netflix did.
Right.
And it's, I'm going to send you a video essay about it because it is insane.
I'm going to go with yes because I never heard of it. So why would you bring it up?
It is indeed, and it is bad and dumb. David, River Dance. How about that?
Yes, it is. Yeah, better be.
No, David. Of course it isn't.
What? There's weird dancing. There's loads of weird dancing in Riverdance and in Twin Peaks.
Don't move your torso.
Without moving his torso, he dances.
Have you seen the? You know that my favorite bit of Fire Walk with Me is while they're on the tarmac and goes, "This is my brother's sister's girl."
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
She kind of just There's a woman in a red dress and she stomps her feet.
Mm-hmm.
I think she'd do well in Riverdance.
Are we saying we have to like re-edit that but put the music from Riverdance underneath? If anyone listening can make that happen and send it to us, I'd be really grateful.
if the estate of David Lynch is listening, and then finally, Teletubbies season 2, episode 8.
Ladies and gentlemen, no. We live inside the belly of a guy with a hoop on his head.
They're adjusting the televisions on their bellies, and then it's like, this is the water, and this is the well.
And every time
the sun comes up,
every time that Cooper and Laura Dern go to a new timeline, it's just the Teletubbies going again.
The sun rises and takes off his face, and there's a black void.
Tinky Winky, Judy, Lala, Bob. So yes, clearly yes.
Yes. No, David. Twin Peaks was inspired by it. David, at the end of that round, you have 144 points, whereas I am in the lead with 1,923 points.
No.
There is all to play for. David, need I remind you that you are under oath?
Round 3.
James, round 3 is of course called James, how do you feel about Twin Peaks? James, how do you feel about Twin Peaks?
It's pretty fucking sick, mate.
Yeah!
It's pretty fucking sick.
Any major thoughts that you want to share that we haven't already shared on this podcast 1,000 times?
So, as I think I have mentioned before, I watched Twin Peaks in the original 2 seasons in the summer of 2013 because
it's not a summer show.
A girl who I had a big old crush on was really into it, so I watched it to impress her. And let me tell you, I currently live with her.
Oh,
As
she
in
doesn't know, but
I live in the cupboards. Who's in your closet? Me.
I like the fact that you watched Twin Peaks to impress a girl and it worked, and you've been together for 11 years?
Oh, Jesus fucking Christ. Yeah. 10 years in total.
Okay. Was this
we had an interregnum where I went out with Oliver Cromwell for a little while.
Oh no. James, you keep on bringing words like interregnum and sojourn into my life, and I don't quite know what they mean, but I infer. Tell me more about Twin Peaks.
So it's so fucking strange in a way that just seems to make sense to me. And in a way of like, do you know when occasionally you get on really well with someone and you're like, oh, it's like our brains work in the same way. And then sometimes you realize that you're both neurodivergent in similar ways.
No, I've never experienced that. Sorry, we nearly went ABBA there, didn't we?
Well, you're
knowing you.
You're looking that way and I'm looking that way. So it actually looked like we were just talking to each other there. And this is clippable now.
Hello. Welcome to content. This episode's about Twin Peaks.
Fuck off!
You better fucking watch it.
Content. So yeah, so I first watched it and thought, well, fucking hell, this is good. I also had the motivating factor of I know that there's going to be about 40 odd hours of a thing, and my little treat that is going to be a motivating thing for me is David Bowie is in it at some point, wearing the worst suit you've ever seen, and I could be like, okay, David Bowie's going to be in this, and at some point, I'm going to forget that David Bowie's in this. And I did. And it was great. And then it was like, I'm watching this partly because I know David Bowie's in this. And then he appears. I'm like, hey, no one told me David Bowie's in this. And then he's like, just about, we're not going to talk about Judy.
That reminds me of the time I went and saw David Byrne live, which is a big old clang. But he basically played, it was like on the American Utopia tour where he did, like, it was amazing. Nobody was sat down, all the musicians would be around. And it was an incredible show. And he just, like, played loads of stuff off the new album, a bunch of, like, rare stuff, but also just loads of, like, not just obscure Talking Head songs, but, like, fucking bangers.
Yeah.
He'd played, like, Burning Down the House and stuff. And, like, I was there going, like, oh, shit, there's an encore. What more could he play? I shit you not. The two songs he played were Road to Nowhere and The Great Curve, which are my two favorite Talking Head songs. But I was there going, could he even play anything else? And then he played my two favorite things. And I was like, oh, sick. This is even better than I thought it was.
Truly sounds like a once-in-a-lifetime experience.
He did also play that, yeah. Sorry,
sounds like 2 hours on LSD. This was, it just was a sumptuous treat. It is such a generous show in what it gives out, and it's a show about dark versus light and love versus hate, where love wins out, and love wins out through sacrifice. And I have mentioned this before, when I first watched it when I was younger, everyone's reactions to Laura Palmer just seems so, like, everyone is in floods of tears. Like, Andy is there as they take the body away, and he's immediately, like, distraught. And it's Andy, and you go like, oh, that's just Andy. And then as I went through Lost later in life, I revisited that episode, and it's like, oh no, that is such a realistic portrayal of the emotion of loss, particularly loss of a young person, loss of that promise, and the kind of darkness that creeps into the kind of idealistic town. It's also a lot of TV programs, even today, look like shit. They're poorly lit. Anything looks like anything. You could film an episode of NCIS anywhere. You could film an episode of a British procedural ITV cop drama anywhere. You just put that fucking filter on that they've got on every fucking TV program at the moment that makes the sky vaguely green. It's so sure of itself. And it's also like, no, we're going to bring a visual flair to television because fuck you, we are. Because I'm David Lynch. Let's get dreamy. And I don't think that bringing something new has been matched since. And I think we take for granted a lot of American TV being really good. And it used to be really bad. It used to be so dog shit. And this is a real step in the way of, like, you don't get The Sopranos without this. You don't get Breaking Bad. You don't get the stuff that people harp on about till time immemorial.
And also, at the time, the main things on American television were really soppy soaps with really bizarre twists. And I think the thing that gets lost, bless you, I think the thing that gets lost in, like, modern watching of it is that it's not only this show that's kind of, it's bleak, but it's funny and bizarre. It's also like a very particular send up of those shows, but like making it more kind of like, well, what the fuck would happen if something this dark happened within this kind of soppy romantic show? So there's lots of bits like early on when you're like, what the fuck why is it all of a sudden got like overly romantic and really like gross and cheesy? And they also have that like soap on the telly that's kind of mirroring what's going on. And it's a bit like when you're first watching it, I think you're expecting all the kind of like Red Room stuff to be weird.
Mm.
But some of the weirdest bits is just you being like, oh my God, like the music's like boom, boom, boom. And they're like, oh, I just love you so much.
Yes.
And it's like, what? I thought this was going to be like creepy and weird, but it's kind of creeping me out because it's so
Or
sincere.
like the fact that for me, one of the scariest bits in it is it's in the movie. It's not a Red Room bit. It's a hot day. It looks like it, and it feels like a hot day. Leland and Laura are in a car, and Mike drives next to them and is shouting, "You stole the corn!" And Lena's like, "What? What's going on?" And Laura's like, "What does he mean?" And the car is like starts smoking, and this guy is screaming, and then he's kind of almost pleading, and it is so fucking horrible. And bearing in mind, this is a film, and it's loud and it's unrelenting. And bearing in mind, this is a film in which a murder takes place, sexual abuse takes place, and there are real moments of tension. This is for me just like a terrifying atmosphere, and it builds it in fucking broad daylight with nothing happening that you don't see day to day.
That scene is so weird and scary and terrifying that I only on the most recent rewatching of Fire Walk with Me, which is it might be my third or fourth time, did I actually pick up on the major plot points, which is basically like almost as much as how episode 8 of season 3 is like, this is why stuff is happening in Twin Peaks.
Yes.
The fact that Bob stole the corn.
Yeah.
It's kind of the reason why Twin Peaks happened. And I'm like, I only on this recent rewatch, having watched it several times and deeming myself somebody that sort of like can kind of pick up on what's going on in this show. I was like, oh, yeah, I've just found out something new.
I think the last episode of series 2 is phenomenal.
Yeah.
And series 2 had got, behind the scenes messy. Lynch had left, and then he came back for this one last fucking episode. And there's a lot. I can't quite put my finger on it, but there's a lot in that episode that feels like playing a PlayStation 1 game. There's something in the angle. The angle is kind of above, so everything's kind of a bit isometric even. And then like the kind of, you go from one room to the next, it's the same room, and it just and you're getting chased. The camera lingers. It's like playing. It's like it's like Resident Evil. It's like something. I think, yeah,
Which
it gives a lot of
inspired by Twin Peaks in a way.
Well, it gives a lot of language to a weirdness that gets developed later and later. And series 3, I've not yet revisited series 3 in the 8 years now that it's been out.
You only watched it once?
Yeah.
But the second viewing of Twin Peaks season 3 is the best viewing.
I know.
You're not there pleading for it to do something different. And you accept what's happening and you go, okay, I'm just going to enjoy what's happening as it goes. Whereas the first time you watched season 3 of Twin Peaks, you're like, when will Cooper go back?
Yeah, Coop. And then by the end of it, you're like, I love Dougie. And then Dougie's dead. And then Coop's back. It's so, yeah, season 3 it's so, again, self-assured. It does not give you what you want. It gives you, here's Cooper. He's back in the weird place. It's black and white. It's a silent film, basically, and a razor head. He's floating in a box like he's fucking Christopher Walken in the Fatboy Slim video.
Influence, yeah.
And then Judy, and then David Bowie's character is back, but he's a kettle.
Yeah.
And fucking episode 8 has a 10-minute Nine Inch Nails concert, and then an art film about the Bikini Beach bomb testing. Fucking. And then, so by the time that it does give you the stuff that you want, of Cooper comes back, and then just for a moment you've got the old music, and just for a moment he is kind of the Coop that everyone is here to see. that Cockney guy who can't act has got a big glove.
Oh yeah, I love that guy.
I love him. He's great. He's got a big glove and he's punching a ball that's Bob.
And gave me a big glove.
He gave me a big glove. I said, "Yeah, big glove." He said, "I'll give you a big glove," and I said, "I beg your pardon," and he gave me a big glove, and I went, "No, that's not a lot better."
I was hoping for the Fleetwood Mac single, "Big Love."
But it's just a fucking masterpiece, and it ends in a way. And now that Lynch is gone, and there's no way we're getting season 4. It's made me reassess. Well, this is the end. What the fuck does that mean? You'll not see Cooper again. Did he win? Did he not? Is he trapped? What's going on? And
I can tell you immediately right now what I think that ending is. If you want to know.
Absolutely. Elaborate on that.
Well, the way that somebody kind of described how it might be to me is obviously he's kind of gone back in time. And obviously when Laura screams looking into the woods, she sees Agent Cooper staring at her, and she gets led away by Coop and therefore doesn't go into the situation where she gets killed by Leland, and she's able to escape that. And then as soon as that happens, him and Laura Dern have to go to a different timeline to rescue the next version of Laura in that universe. And they're essentially agents of the White Lodge, jumping from universe to universe, trying to rescue different versions of Laura. And I heard that one and I was like, that'll do for me.
Yeah, that'll do. And it's like,
not in a way that's like I'm switching my brain off, but I'm like, because you can hear all sorts of things and you're like, oh, is he trapped and everything is not kind of working out. But it's like,
no, he's got a job to do.
That like episode 17 of the final series is like the most Twin Peaksy episode of that, because everything's come together. They all come back to Twin Peaks, and it's like it's just giving you everything you've been after. And it's like there's that. It's like Sting having sex. It's taken fucking forever, and then all of a sudden it's like there you go. And then afterwards, David Lynch is like, and then how about some other bullshit was happening?
One of my favorite moments in season 3 is when Lynch has clearly realized as lovely and mysterious as I love to be, we are going to lose people. So he looks down the camera and explains some shit for like 10 minutes, and then goes, "Wow, that's really something to think about."
It's great.
Absolutely. 10 out of 10.
I like a story that has concrete plot, but also contains abstractions.
Yes. And it's perfect that we'll get no more answers. We'll get no more answers. Good.
Don't need
elaborate on that. No.
Well, James,
that's why I watch it every night on my fucking telephone.
I do watch Twin Peaks in the bath on an iPad. So,
as Lynch meant it.
Yeah.
As he intended.
An iPad was, and a bath. James, that's 10,000 points for you there. What an excellent opinion. It's over to you for round 4.
Round 4.
David, Twin Peaks. It's pretty sick, right? What's your thoughts, bruh?
Don't like it very much. It's confusing.
No.
No. No. I love it. The thing that I keep on thinking about is there are shows and there are things in life where people are like, well, that I think means this, or this might mean that. And, you know, I don't know if you've ended up with weird parts of TikTok or in the algorithm offering you stuff where people are offering theories about what certain movements on stage that I've forgotten her name, Taylor Swift does to imply when her next album release does, because she tries to do cryptic stuff.
Yeah.
Doing this thing which they thought meant like 2000 or something. She kept going like that, and I was like, they're on stage trying to work out what that means, which I thought was quite hilarious. Because of the way this is set up, like I think some people are like the season 3 is about nothing. It's like there's a very simple plot going along, but it's decorated so immaculately with stuff that is about what's going on, but it's not like concrete because it's giving you the concrete story, but it's really trying to elicit the emotions. And I think that like it succeeds in that, where other things that are like, you know, the dumbest version of being like, and that's how Poirot got his mustache in like where it's like trying to explain things, and it's like, you know, all the sort of like superhero movies that are like, or like all the different the Star Trek movie, the Star Wars, sorry, where it's like that's how Han Solo got the Millennium Falcon, and that's how he got his jacket, and he did actually meet somebody, but he was an infant and all that. And it's like, no. It's like it's trying to elicit this emotion because it's this really weird show that's just trying to like it's kind of talking about what happens if like something horrific happens in a small community and how that affects things. But it is like there's a tangible thing, which is like, do you feel like evil is a tangible entity? I think one of the most interesting interviews I've ever heard about Twin Peaks is on Films to Be Buried with Brett Goldstein's podcast, where he interviews Mark Frost. Because obviously David Lynch won't give anybody any answers, and Mark Frost isn't necessarily like, I've got to tell you all the things, but he's like, he gives a much more, because he's like he came from the crime TV side of things, so he really helped, I think, add some of that just more stable thing. And I think like Fire Walk with Me is great, although I think the first section, there's 3 sections. The first section is the best. The second section is good, and then the third section leaves you hollow. And it's very well done, but it leaves you hollow.
Yeah.
And so every time I finish it, I'm like, oh, that left me hollow. And then I don't want to watch it. And then I get to the point in my rewatch where I'm like, oh, I need to watch Fire Walk with Me again. And then I watch the first bit and I'm like, this is brilliant. Why don't I watch this more? And then by the end, I'm like, oh, hollow again. And I think Mark Frost is missing from that in adding a little bit more tangibility to it. But it really is this weird, mysterious show that you can watch and be like, I have no fucking idea what's going on. But it's really trying to convey an aspect of like, is evil a tangible thing and how can you combat it? And as you say, it's like love wins because of sacrifice and because of believing in love, and actually like, you know, it's not just kind of like, I have the power of my shield or what have you. Or it's like, it's so fucking tangible. I first watched it because I all the people that I had sort of similar opinions to me in media were raving about how Twin Peaks was coming back, and I was like, oh shit, some people have recommended me to once or twice before. I'll give it a go. I had a horrible cold, so I sat and watched the first episode in bed, and I was a bit like, what the the only thing I'd really seen about it is the Red Room. I just seen like a clip of it, and I was like, I want to see this weird shit. And then that's not in the first episode at all. And I was a bit like, this is just kind of like gritty and horrible. And then at the end, when you see a hand reach in and grab the necklace, I was like, well, I'll watch the beginning of the next episode just to see what happens there. I ended up watching the first 3 episodes that day, and then I watched the next 5 episodes the next day because I was in bed with a cold and nothing else to do. So I sort of just like consumed series 1 in like the space of about 36 hours and was just like, okay. And then I watched the second series in a bit of like stilted, because you end up watching that first bit trying to like get some more answers, and then you get some answers because they reveal stuff against the director's will. And then there's that weird cavernous bit that everybody sort of stops at. And I got through that, and then I watched the last 5 episodes in one evening.
Yeah.
Wanted answers, thought maybe Fire Walk with Me will give me answers. I started watching it at 3 a.m, feeling hollow. I had to get up for work at 7 a.m. And I spent the whole of the next day being like, the fuck was going on? And when I've rewatched it, I try and make sure that I watch one episode at a time and read it, because to say it's like I think somebody described like binge watching TV shows as like downing like Don Perignon. Do you know what I mean? It's like if you just trying to get it all in, then you don't have time to process it. And then when you actually sit down and process it, it's just fucking lush. But yeah, I think you've said a lot of what I feel about it. It's just so wonderful. It doesn't quite ever give you everything you want, but it really strings you along. There's characters that you love. I feel like rewatching it is one of my favorite things to do because there's so much going on all the time that your opinion of characters can change from watch to watch. So like the first time I watched it, Lucy was basically like one of my favorite characters. I now think she's a bit she's not the loveliest person in the world. Like she messes Andy around quite a bit.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I did not like Major Briggs at all the first time I watched it because he's like, I just thought he was like a horrible army guy and who's not talking to his son and not connecting with his son, and that's why his son's being an asshole. And now Major Briggs is like top 3 characters maybe in it all. And you can just pick up on things that you're like, oh, they've put all these jigsaw pieces there. And my girlfriend gets she thinks it's hilarious, but she gets a bit frustrated, like, why don't you watch different shows? And I'm like, because every time I watch this, I'm getting like, it's like you've eaten the same meal every time, but you're getting different flavors that enhance it all the time. Like, the fact that I'm pretty convinced, this is my new theory that I've come up with, that Dick Tremaine is an agent of the Black Lodge because he is smoking the cigarette in the police office and that sets off the sprinklers, and that's when Bob escapes Leland and therefore they can't deal with what's going on and he manages to get out. And I'm like, he might not necessarily be aware that he's doing it, but I think there's an element of it which I'm like, Dick Tremaine has been put into this world to cause some shit. And the only way you can kind of piece that all together is when you watch it back and be like, oh, fuck, it's there. But yeah, I love the fact that David Lynch made it and he lived his life really authentically and just made shit that he really liked and some people really liked and some people fucking hated. And it's sort of a thing that I kind of want to aspire more to because I get a bit like, oh no, I want everybody to like what I do. And it's like, you got to make stuff with a stronger flavor because I don't like stuff that's a bit meh.
I think,
and it's like he made stuff that was incredibly strong flavor, and therefore it's going to turn some people off.
A really hopeful thing with it is that it was, particularly the first season, it was a mainstream hit. It in a
never has a show crashed so hard.
Oh yeah, it crashed hard. But and that's partly because of the network finagling. But to have your weird art project viewed by millions and millions of people who are coming in every week and are engaged in the world of the show, fucking great. That's a very hopeful.
There was major chat shows that got many characters on. There's a really funny video of like the host being like, now this guy plays a character called Leo Johnson. You did it. He doesn't even ask the question. He's just like being like, you killed Laura Palmer. I know you did. And it was like, you know, there's like the 3 female characters on the front of Rolling Stone. It was being parodied on SNL. It was humongous. Yeah, and it's odd. It's a weird thing. But I think that the thing that kind of confused me when I first watched it, which I was looking for the weird stuff because that's what I'd heard about. But I think the reason it works so well is it does slow burn you, being like, this is all about family and town and stuff. And then it has like owls, llamas, men with one arm, like sort of spirits, an alternative universe. And it sort of just slowly unfolds until you're like, whoa, the fuck is going on? And I think if you're waiting for it to give you that tangible answer, that's when you can get very frustrated. Whereas if you sort of think about it, discuss it with people and be like, oh, that kind of made me feel like this, you can get there. And the thing I love about it is that everybody that watches it interprets it differently and everybody has theories and they're all kind of valid. And it's not a show where you can kind of be like, well, this means this and this means this. It's not like one of those weird like Pixar theory things where it's like, which annoyed me, but it really like offers you solid plot and solid ambiguity that evokes feelings, and different people can interpret it depending on what's going on in their life. Like, I'd love to know that you're watching season 3 again and see how you feel about it all again, because there are characters in that series that you start off being like, the fuck? And then by the end, you're like, oh, I love this character.
And
yeah.
again, season 3, one of the scariest bits is the woman in the car who's screaming with a child who's really sick. It's so
Scariest and funniest.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because Bobby Briggs gets to come face to face with it and be like, the fuck
Yeah.
is going on? And his like transformation
Oh.
when you see it's him walking down the corridor in season 3, and then like he's like really redeemed himself in life. You're like,
Yeah.
oh. Benjamin Horne's redemption in season 3, I still get a bit weirded out by. I think that it's sort of weird because I think it is true that he's really trying to make better of himself, but he was so fucking horrible in the past that he's just there like, okay, I'm really fucking trying to make something better of myself, and I have to because I was horrific.
Yes.
And the
And
fact that his brother is there just to run off into the woods.
There's one element of it that I could do without, and that is that James Hurley was never cool. James Hurley was never cool.
Can you do your best James Hurley face? Pretty good. So that's how I feel about Twin Peaks. It's great. I love it. I'll talk about it for forever. If you've not seen it, give it a go. If you don't like it, don't worry about it. It's not for everyone. I like it when I've talked about it in comedy green rooms, and people are like, "Oh, would you recommend that?" And it's like somebody that loves Marvel films and like really mainstream media, and I'm like, "No, I don't mean that in a like me judging them because they're clearly right because more people." No, but like
me and Basic Barry over here. He likes Coldplay.
I'm not going to say that I'm better than them. I'm just saying that like if your taste is something where it's very succinct and clear, then showing you Twin Peaks, like part of the reason I like that and I don't like Marvel as much is when I sit down to watch stuff that I can see what's going to happen, my brain switches off.
Yes,
because I caught neurodivergency off of TikTok. But when you watch Twin Peaks, you have to concentrate and engage with it, and therefore, as a show, I'm so much more invested in it because you sort of try and become the detective as well. Whereas, like, I have this conversation with my girlfriend where she watches stuff and she's just like, I just stick it on and just switch my brain off and that's fine. And I don't have that ability. I wish I did. I would have been more well rested. Might live longer, but I'm not going to live as long. So fuck it. Love Twin Peaks.
Yep. Well, David, at the end of that round, you have got. I've given you 12,017 points, putting you at a total of 12,161 points. David, there is all to play for as we go into everyone's favorite round 5.
Round 5.
Oh, sick. James, round 5 is of course called Let's Rock. David Lynch was not just a fan of cinema. He also loved pool cookies and a Coke. But he also loved music. Multiple musicians appeared in Twin Peaks, either performing their music or performing like just being a character, whether it was David Bowie randomly disappearing or Chris
making
Isaac,
someone shit their pants.
Yeah. Or Chris Isaac randomly disappearing, or James Hurley randomly disappearing. You can never tell what David Lynch is going to do with his music chums. But James, I'm going to tell you a musician, and you just have to tell me whether they appeared in Twin Peaks or not.
Yes.
There was clearly lots of music. Like he sort of put at the end of each episode of season 3, he would put a band in the Roadhouse, and that's how you knew the episode was ending, which he then played with the format in episode 8, where like 15 minutes in, you're saying like, oh, we're already at the Roadhouse. And then he's like, this ain't your normal kids episode of Twin Peaks.
Twin Peaks babies.
See some shit. Yeah. The scariest bit of that, I think, is just after Nine Inch Nails have played. Maybe not the scariest bit, but one of the weirdest bits. Just after Nine Inch Nails have played, and obviously, like you've got the woodman crawling all over the
Yeah.
body. Nine Inch Nails play, and then when all of them like scatter off again, and you're like, oh,
Hmm.
something happened there. I don't know what
Hmm.
happened there. It's not been solved though. That's still an issue. I also just want to say, I absolutely love the difference between the 1990s version of the Woodsman and the later one, where the later ones are like really well thought out, really well made, really like scary, and the
Yeah.
early versions are just a dude in a beanie with a fake beard. Like, ooh.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm going to name a musician. Just tell me whether they were or weren't in Twin Peaks. James Greenblatt.
James Greenblatt. What's James Greenblatt from? Who's he? I think yes. James Greenblatt was in Twin Peaks.
Oh, you think he was?
Yes.
Let's just listen to this music to see whether he was or not.
Yes, and
James Greenblatt is the name of the actor who played James Hurley. Not only was James always cool, but they named his character the same name as himself
Yes.
because I always think it's hilarious. It's like, will they just not respond? By the way, this is for 80,000 points of questions, so that's 80,000 points to you there.
That's happened with Jack Nicholson plays a lot of characters called Jack. He's played like 10 characters at this point called Jack.
That wasn't cast in the Francis Ford Coppola movie Jack as Jack.
No, he wasn't. He auditioned. That'd have been great.
That's
I'm a
weird movie.
boy. I'm a little boy.
I'm in a treehouse.
I'm in a treehouse, man.
Question number 2. Was Hudson Mohawk in Twin Peaks?
Yes.
Do you know when?
Season 1, episode 1, he plays Josie.
Josie's real name is Hudson Mohawk. Now, Hudson
Yes.
Mohawk is one of the bands at the end of one of the episodes of season 3. Let's just remind ourselves of when that was. My name is Hudson Mohawk, and I was in Twin Peaks. Yeah.
Very good.
Good.
Very good.
So we all remember it well. Question number 3 was The Wiggles.
Oh,
Twin Peaks?
shit. The Twin Peaks gives me the wiggles, I tell you that.
Australian kids TV.
Yeah. Why not? Fuck it. Yeah.
You think the Wiggles were in Twin Peaks?
Yes. They all appear in the fireman's house.
Oh, you think they're
In the
agents of the
cinema.
White Lodge?
Yeah. They all appear in the cinema screening.
Nearly. You're nearly right. Let's just remind ourselves of when that was. Gammon Bozo. Yummy, yummy. Gammon Bozo. Yummy, yummy. They were, of course, agents of the Black Lodge.
There we go. My God.
Man, you really remember you certainly know your musicians well.
You know.
Question number 4 was ABBA in Twin Peaks?
Yes. Yes, David. They all took turns playing Bob.
Just appearing at the
Yeah.
end of people's beds.
Yes. But they're all very
knowing you. Of course they did. Let's just remind ourselves of when ABBA appeared in Twin Peaks. Gammon Bosia, here I go again. my, I cannot resist you. Gammon Bosia, does it show again? My, just how much I missed you.
Very good.
And finally, was Ed Sheeran in Twin Peaks?
Definitely an agent of the Black Lodge.
You think?
Is there, I don't know, is there a beige lodge? It's just a lodge for boring. I don't like Ed Sheeran. He's up to no good.
He'd be in the inconvenience store. Hey. Let's just remember what you said. You thought that Ed Sheeran was an agent of the Black Lodge. I'm sorry, he wasn't.
Oh.
But if he was, it'd probably sound a little bit like this.
My name is Ed Sheeran and I'm an agent of the Black Lodge. Oh no.
So you got it wrong, but you also got it right. So I'll give you half points. That's 40,000 points for you there. That's fucking mental. I think we got to the point where our brains have merged. We must be each other's doppelgangers at this point.
Yep.
Well, James, at the end of that round, you're on 371,923 points. It's over to you for the final round, round 6.
Round 6.
My God. David, round 6. There was an error in the booking system, and I've done my best. Everyone's been briefed as much as possible, but I just want you to take your expectations way down, please. So, this is your guest, Tim Peake.
If this is your first time watching the show, there's usually a guest host of final round, but James appears to have made some variety of error.
Your guest this episode is Tim Peake.
Oh.
Hello! Hello, I'm Tim Peake, the astronaut. I've been to space. I've never really watched the show. They've given me some questions to read, and if I'm honest, I really wanted to talk about space. Could I talk about
space in Twin Peaks, Tim?
Can I talk about space? I
can also people fly through space.
I'm happy to talk about Spaced, the sitcom. No, I'm being told no. I'm being told I can't talk about space or Spaced.
This really implies that we've got a producer in your ear.
I have to say that I can't talk about Judy. Does that mean anything? I don't know. I'm a living
mum.
I'm a living hero. Fine. I've not seen the show, so I'm going to take us now to the ultimate Twin Peaks quiz from entertainment.ie. Well, it's too late now, Martin. I've told them it's the website. It's live. They can edit, but it's an arseache. David.
Hi, Tim.
Question 1. Let's see if you know your fish from your percolators. Is that a thing in the show? Sounds horrid. How did Josie Packard's husband fake his own death?
Speedboat accident.
Speedboat accident. Like Kirsty McCall. Yes, David. Congratulations.
That is those two things together. Oh God.
That is one. What do you mean? It's a fake score? I thought it was just a point for a correct. Well, can I do pie? No. Oh fucking hell, Malcolm! We need to have a word. This wouldn't have happened with Neil Armstrong. This wouldn't even would have happened with Buzz Aldrin. Right. 9,000 points. A question there. 9,000 points for you. Well done.
Thanks, Tim.
2. What branch of military did Major Briggs work for? Is it A, Space Force? Or B, the Air Force? See, I put a spin on it there, Malcolm. I know Space Force would have. I know, but it's a fun question for the comedy game. Get off my dick about it.
Weirdly, it's the Air Force, not the Space Force, although he does survey deep space.
Oh, don't we all? At least we should be. Question number 3. What hotel did Ben Horne own? A, the Great Northern, or B, the Premier Inn in Abergavenny?
It's the Great Northern, Tim.
Oh, I'm sorry, David. It's the Premier Inn in Abergavenny. No, that is what it says. Fucking hell, Malcolm! It's what it. Oh no, fair enough. That is a mistake. That's another 9,000 points for you. Well, David, that is all for me and my round. At the end of that round, you have 39,161 points. I assume that you've won. I don't know this show either. Very happy for you. If anyone knows of a good brand manager, then please be in touch. Goodbye.
Tim, before you go.
Yes. Fucking yes.
I've been watching David Lynch's Dune. It looks like you've had a heart valve put in.
Ah ha ha ha. Ah ha 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 ha. I'm fuckable fucking nerds. I can't deal with it.
Well, bye, Tim.
Hi, Tim. That's my fault, and for that, I'm going to give you 200,000 points.
Hey!
I just feel awful.
Punch my lampshade. That's fine. I went to Blue Dot Festival where Tim Peake was there, and I missed meeting him by about 5 minutes. And everybody
These
was there that I met up with was like, I just met Tim Peake, so it's nice to finally meet him and see that we have nothing in common.
He seems pretty pissed off. The both of us, to be honest, and not without cause. Well, David, it's time for the scores. So let's have a theme tune for the scores. What a lovely theme tune for
the scores. James, at the end of this exciting episode, I think you're hosting, and you should probably do all the hosting if you want.
Well, David,
I was trying to subvert at the ending. Give people an unexpected experience.
No, David, I made a spooky Twin Peaks theme for Robert Walpole. I will play it twice.
Shocking down the walls of Jericho, a word whispered in the wind, and it said, Robert fucking Walpole, Robert fucking Walpole. Yeah.
Well, boys, what a jam-packed show this has been. And speaking of jam-packed, let's find out who's won a donut. David, at the end of this quiz, my, you have 239,161 points. Very well done. However, you have not won this quiz. Instead, James is going home with the donut at 371,923 points.
Very
meaning
good.
that James gets a donut and you get a hill. How funny. Goodbye, boys!
Bye, Robert.
What a menace. David, at the end of it, I am the winner. I'm going through a bit of a sugar-free month, so that's wasted on me. David.
What's that called? It's not like dry January. It's unsweetened
Sad.
January.
Sad
Salty
January. Oh, I'm having a salty January. Sounds like something that Joan Rivers would have said. At the end of that round, at the end of the show, this has been Is This Enough? You can find us.
Let's just
commemorate.
Let's just commemorate that. That was seamless podcasting.
I'm gonna be honest here. I deleted my show notes document that has been going for a while, and I found an old copy of it, which was from episode number 20.
Oh,
So
no.
The last time I hosted, I nearly said, along the way, we've got some songs, some sketches, and some
Oh, I've done
customers.
that. Sorry.
There are no longer any sketches here because fuck you. That's why. So
No, no, fuck you.
no, because fuck me. That's
Fuck
why.
us for being
Hey.
too disorganized.
We'll give you a sketch right now. This is the customer unhappy with a candle sketch. Excuse me, sir.
I've lodged a
Um,
candle up myself.
That'll be 4 candles.
Is that to get out the candle up my ass? Hey, sketch comedy!
Stand up comedy. There's sketch comedy there. Easier than it looks.
More like sketchy comedy.
And he never came home. You can find us online at Is This Enough Pod on Insta, TikTok, and YouTube. You can still watch us if you're in the States by the looks of it. That ban lasted all of one afternoon. You can email us at isthisenoughpodcasting@gmail.com, where you can be part of our mailing list as well on Substack.
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 This is
Oh,
the part at the end.
Substack at Is This Enough Pod Substack fucking
Is this enough podcast.substack.com?
which
There
is
you go,
where
James.
you might find out about some exciting live shows in the future and also some exciting live bombs we may have planted in various cities.
James,
David, we may have.
stop doing terrorist threats on the podcast.
David,
Stop it.
the listeners need to be lucky every time. We need to be lucky every episode. David,
What's
if you
happened
want
at the end here, James?
If
You're
you
having a
wanna
nice time.
find-
You've crumbled as a person.
If you want to find me online, I think James O'Donoghue is that James O on Insta, James O'Donoghue Comedy on Blue Sky, and Let the James Begin on TikTok. David, where could people find your digital footprint and download your data from?
At David Hoare LOL, Hoare HOARE, Hoare LOL is in lots of love. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, still on TikTok, YouTube, and I have my own Substack, davidhoare.substack.com. Thank you very much for watching this episode, everybody.
Thank you very much for listening. And thank you very much, David Lynch and Mark Frost, for making Twin Peaks. Because without that, we'd still be here doing this, but this episode would just be an hour and 10 minutes of...
Yeah. I don't know if we would. I think Twin Peaks helped us bond.
I think it did.
Also, I'm not particularly... Like, I know a lot of people are overwhelmingly sad about David Lynch dying. I think he lived till 78. He lived his life authentically, and he made all the shit that he wanted to make, and it was fucking awesome. And also, people hated it, and I'm like, what a guy! He's fucking smashed it out of the park.
And he never ate a salad. He also...
Tuna fish, tomatoes, feta cheese, and a bit of olive oil. It's fantastic.
Well, David Lynch, I hope you're enjoying 2 cookies and a Coke wherever you are. Goodbye.
It's Bob
Bye.
Iger from us. Boo, Bob Iger.
It's Boo Iger from us, more like Boob Iger. There's a fish in OBS.